For over 25 years, that Otis Hawkins, the man you believed to be your father, was dead, but he's alive. And we found him for you.
Found out via Facebook.
Oh.
I was scrolling, we was friends on Facebook. I scrolled through her pictures, found out she was pregnant. I saw her stomach, you know, she was all pregnant. Do you somehow think that it might be mine?
No, you didn't say, do I somehow think it might be yours?
It's not a rare blood disease. I am ARH negative, and he is ARH negative. If she's RH positive and doesn't get the necessity during the pregnancy, it could her from having future children, or that child could pass away.
Here comes the bombshell. Ms. France drops a major revelation that her dad, on his deathbed, spilled the beans. He might be Sonia Lee's biological father. The audience reacts with murmurs as the judge clarifies if Ms. Lee, standing before her, is indeed the sister Ms. France has been talking about. This juicy tidbit sets us up for a roller coaster of a paternity mystery. Brace yourself. The drama unfolds even more from here.
You're here along with brother who's waiting outside of our courtroom. You say father claimed on his deathbed that he was the biological father of a child. If indeed you've now found the correct Sonia, you believe plaintiff Ms. Lee is your sister?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hang on to your seats, because this gets wild. Ms. France spills the tea about always knowing she had a twin in Michigan, sharing how their children, completely unbeknownst to the potential family tie, became buddies. The revelation paints a bizarre picture of how small the world really is, and underscores unexpected family connections popping up in the least expected places. Keep watching. The emotional whirlwind is just picking up speed.
The whole time I was growing up, I heard and I was always told that I had a twin in Michigan the whole time. We went to the same schools. Our kids are even best friends and never even knew. I even know her grandmother and my grandmother are best friends.
Get ready for a twisty turn of events. Ms. Lee details her initial confusion and emotional upheaval after receiving out-of-the-blue messages claiming she has a different biological father. She talks about her skepticism and delayed response, highlighting the personal chaos brought by such a monumental revelation. This segment really digs into the complexities of identity and hidden family secrets. Next up, emotions run even higher, so don't go anywhere.
They're receiving some notifications, someone trying to reach me. I didn't respond to the messages for a while, let me say that, because I didn't recognize her picture, I didn't recognize her name. After 3 or 4 messages, I finally responded, where we exchanged numbers and I called her and she just started a story out, and it was like, whoa, wait a minute, slow down. But on our dad's deathbed, he had me look for you and we thought you were dead. And I'm like, wait a minute, so now I went from being one man whose name I carry.
You're not going to believe this part. Gloria Washington, Ms. Lee's mom, steps up and throws another curveball into the mix, explaining her past fling with Mr. Miller and why she chose to keep it a secret from her daughter. Her testimony sheds light on the tangled web of personal decisions and hidden truths that shape lives in ways we can hardly predict. The bombshells keep dropping, and the next one is a doozy.
And during the time when I was 6 months pregnant with her, he left me for Mrs. France. When she was born, Mr. Lee was there with me. He took care of me. Mr. Miller, I never saw him. I never told her. I didn't think she needed to know.
Are you ready for the big reveal? The tension peaks as Judge Lake prepares to open the envelope with the DNA results that everyone's been anxiously waiting for.
Is the biological daughter of the late Ronald Miller, Ms. Lee? They are indeed your biological brother and sister.
You wouldn't believe this opener. The episode kicks off with the judge striding in and everyone getting seated. Miss Looper launches into her case against Mr. Downs, accusing him of denying fathering her twins, Rayleigh Nursery, Bishop, despite his initial persona as a stand-up church-going man. The atmosphere is thick with drama as the stage is set for a showdown over paternity and trust. Just you wait, it only gets more tangled from here.
Case of Looper versus Downs.
Think you say you thought the defendant was a respect church-going family man who turned out to be anything but. You claim after giving birth to your twins, Brayley and Bishop, Mr. Downs denied fathering your babies.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about a plot twist. Miss Looper drops a bombshell, admitting she hadn't quite shut the door on several relationships even as she began seeing Mr. Downs. This revelation comes right after Mr. Downs voices his doubts about being the father, pointing to her ongoing liaisons with other men. The stakes are raised, casting shadows of doubt over the paternity of the twins. Buckle up, because the roller coaster is just picking up speed.
Then we ran into some problems. He went through my phone. I did have a lot of open doors.
Open doors, so you still had other relationships that you had not.
This was 2 weeks after we started hanging out. So we were in a relationship, so I did still have open relationships with other men while I was beginning a relationship with Mr. Downs.
Here's where things really start to heat up. Upon learning of her pregnancy, Miss Looper describes how her relationship with Mr. Downs shifted dramatically. Initially, he was all in, attending prenatal appointments and playing the doting partner, but the skeletons in her closet regarding other men start to cloud his his mind with doubt. The plot thickens, and trust me, you'll want to see what's next.
We moved really fast. We had a wedding date in 2 months. Relationship changed tremendously though. Our vibe was different. We weren't hanging out as found out I was pregnant. I called him and he was really nonchalant about it. Once I did get pregnant, he was amazing. Cedric, feet, rub my belly. He would get it by 2 a.m., go get me ice and hot Cheetos.
Can you handle this curveball? Right at the birth, Mr. Downs throws doubt over the room like confetti, especially questioning the paternity of Braylee because of her light complexion. This pivotal moment underscores the rare but real possibility that fraternal twins can have different fathers. The tension is palpable, and oh, it's about to go up another notch.
As soon as they brought Braylee into the room, the first thing he said was, "Do you guys do DNA tests here? I've never had a kid come out that light." The first thing he said when he seen her. But he did go see my son, and he did say that he looked like him.
You didn't feel like you could be her father?
I know it don't really matter about election and stuff, but like I said, all my kids favor me, just extremely, you know what I'm saying? And I looked at Bishop, I seen more Bishop in me than Braylee. At the same time, like I said, I know there's another man been involved.
This part is a real tearjerker, folks. As the relationship hits rock bottom, Miss Looper makes the heart-wrenching decision to pack up the twins and move to California, seeking refuge and support away from Mr. Downs. This major twist not only shakes up their personal lives, but also sets up a legal quandary over the twins' paternity and Mr. Downs' role in their future. Hang on, because the emotional fireworks are just beginning.
For several reasons, I was unhappy with our relationship at this point. I'm gonna have to move back with somebody's mom, and they're gonna be uncomfortable with me. They're like, I'll take it from my mom, not yours. I just felt more comfortable going home. It wasn't working.
So you went back home.
Correct.
And now, for the grand finale, hold on to your popcorn. The episode reaches its climax as the paternity test results are disclosed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Downs, you are not the father.
Can you believe the nerve? Mr. Kidd lays it all out, accusing Ms. Rawlings of leading him on to believe he was the father of her son, Nathaniel, only to flip the script when she met someone else she preferred. He and his mom spill the beans about how Ms. Rawlings' alleged deception has thrown their family into emotional chaos. Mr. Kidd is rock solid in his belief that he's Nathaniel's dad. Just wait until you hear Ms. Rawlings' side of the story next.
You say Ms. Rawlings is a manipulative user who convinced you that you were the father of her son, then changed her mind when someone better came along. You and your mother say Ms. Rawlings' mind game, emotional havoc on your family, and you are 100% positive are her son's father.
You're not ready for this comeback. Ms. Rawlings claps back hard, claiming Mr. Kidd was in the loop all along about not being the dad, thanks to his earlier confession of infertility. She accuses Mr. Kidd and his mother of desperately clinging to a false hope of paternity, and she's all set to bust their bubble in court today. Keep watching. The judge is about to dig into the juicy details.
You say Mr. Kidd is fully aware he is not Daniel's father, as he himself, he cannot have children. You say Mr. Rawlings and his mother are desperate people who convince themselves Mr. Kidd is your son's father and you intend to prove them wrong daily.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here's where things get spicy. The judge decides to unpack the timeline surrounding Ms. Rawlings' pregnancy and Mr. Kidd's involvement, or lack thereof. Ms. Rawlings recounts how a complicated personal life led her into relationships with Mr. Kidd and another man, making the paternity puzzle even more tangled. Trust me, the medical bombshell that's about to drop is a game changer.
After I went away, a month after I found out she was pregnant.
Did you tell him it was his child?
No, Your Honor. How it happened was we met through a mutual friend. I didn't know anything about Mr. Kidd. Starting off, my mutual friend ended up leaving, and the situation that I'm in, I didn't have anywhere to go.
Brace yourself for a scientific twist. We get a slice of medical drama as explanations about Mr. Kidd's health condition come into play. His mom explains their rare blood type situation, which could potentially complicate pregnancies, adding a scientific edge to the paternity dispute. Next up, watch how Mr. Kidd's mom reacts when she first hears about her supposed grandkid.
Mr. Kidd told me himself that he has some type of rare form blood disease that me and his child would die if I was pregnant by him.
It's not a rare blood disease. I am AORH negative and he is ARH negative. If she's RH positive and doesn't get the necessity during the pregnancy, it could hurt her from having future children or that child could pass away.
Grab some tissues for this tearjerker. Ms. Jenkins, Mr. Kidd's mom, shares a heartfelt tale of disbelief and joy upon discovering Nathaniel's existence. Describing the first time she met her grandson in the park as the best day of her life, her story underscores the deep emotional stakes involved. But hold on, there's another dad candidate waiting in the wings.
She said, "That's not your son." I said, "Yes, that is. I gave birth to him. I know who he is." She said, "That's his son." And I was like, "What?" So I contacted his friend who gave me Miss Rawlings' number. We talked for a couple weeks. We were at a park and I said hey to her. I said, "But you know what I'm here for." And I went straight to the baby. Picked him up, had said, "Hey, sugar." And he smiled and we played. And honestly, the best day of my life. I'm holding my grandson. I know it's mine.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Ms. Rawlings throws another curveball by admitting there might be another daddy in the picture, as other folks reckon Nathaniel looks like him too. This twist ratchets up the drama, emphasizing the roller coaster of emotions everyone's riding. Don't miss what the expert has to say about Mr. Kid's ability to be a dad. It's a doozy.
Yes, he did, because he was the one that actually told me to get a test to see if I was pregnant. He actually reached back out to me because he had some other situations going on, looking at pictures, and he questioned it again. He was like, are you sure the other guy, your child's father, because he looks like me. And going through, even his brothers said, yeah, he has our nose.
The other guy thinks Nathaniel looks like him too.
Fasten your seatbelts for some expert insights. The courtroom calls in Dr. Gator to shed light on Mr. Kid's fertility situation, debunking myths and clarifying his medical history, which could influence his ability to father children. DNA results are just around the corner, and you won't believe the outcome.
So I think there's two separate issues here. There was an issue about RH incompatibility.
Yes.
And that has to do with a mother and a baby, and if there's different blood types between the father of the baby, positive. But that really doesn't have anything to do with the ability to a child. And so there are various childhood infections, mumps to repeated urinary tract infections to STIs like gonorrhea and chlamydia. Those can cause inflammation in the test, which then causes scarring.
Get ready for the big reveal. In a stunning turn of events, the DNA test results confirm.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kidd, you are the father.
Buckle up, because this is where the plot thickens. Ms. Casey steps up to lay out her lifelong narrative that her deceased father, listed on her birth certificate, was her biological dad. However, in swoops Mr. Edwards with a plot twist, claiming he's the real father. Amidst this bombshell, her mother throws a wrench into the works by staunchly denying Mr. Edwards' paternity claim and points fingers at another man, supposedly deceased, as the real father. What happens next? You won't believe it.
Miss Casey, you say for more than 25 years, your mother has told you that a deceased man who is listed on your birth certificate is your biological father. Now another man, Mr. Edwards, is claiming is your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You think you've seen drama? Wait till you hear that Ms. Casey pours her heart out about the emotional turmoil of growing up without a dad. She paints a vivid picture of her life as walking through a never-ending dark corridor with no light, starkly contrasting with her siblings who knew their fathers. As she wraps up her heart-wrenching testimony, hold onto your seats, because what's coming is even more gripping.
Not knowing where I came from, I built a bond with Otis Hawkins, who's on my birth certificate, even though he's not. I don't have anything about him. He is on my birth certificate. My oldest daughter I passed, raised my kids the way that I have never been raised. I make sure that the mother and the father is in the home, and they know exactly who their father is.
Just when you think it couldn't get more intense, here's a curveball. Ms. Ewing drops a bombshell that the courtroom didn't see coming. She was informed that Mr. Hawkins, the man listed as the father, was shot dead years ago. The crowd gasps, the stakes are high, and the plot just got thicker. Keep watching, because the next moment is a doozy.
I called his cousin to see did she want to spend time with LaConda. Informed me then that he had been shot in the head by his brother. LaConda was 7 years old. When I was told that, I didn't want to tell her until she got older. I didn't know how to tell her, and I'm telling you exactly what I was told.
Hold the phone. This part's a real tearjerker. In a heartfelt confession, Mr. Edwards reveals his attempts to reconnect via social media, igniting a sliver of hope for a father-daughter relationship amidst the chaos. This revelation stirs the pot further in this already complicated emotional saga. Just when you think you've seen it all, the next twist is right around the corner.
So you reached out to her on social media.
I was looking for them. I am so sorry. I felt like this. Lost one boy. Losing this one. I'm not losing you. I don't even understand. The hair stands up on my back. She looks so much like my family. She's got, what my mom looked like. I got 6 other daughters. And my youngest daughter, I mean, if you look at her and look.
Get ready for your jaw to drop. In a moment that feels like something straight out of a movie, Judge Lake reveals that Otis Hawkins, long thought to be pushing daisies, is actually alive and kicking. The court is shook, the audience is in disbelief, and the narrative takes a wild turn. Fasten your seatbelts, because what comes next is truly mind-boggling.
Miss Casey.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been told for over 25 years that Otis Hawkins, the man you believe to be your father, was dead, but he's alive. And we found him for you.
Oh my
Mr. Hawkins,
God.
Into the courtroom.
Grab your popcorn, because this next part is a roller coaster. After a tense wait, the DNA results are in.
Pertaining to whether Mr. Hawk is the father of Ms. Casey. Mr. Hawkins, you are not her father.
Can you believe that claim? Miss Ellis opens her statement by alleging she had a brief fling with Mr. Coger 3 years prior, which she believes resulted in the birth of her son, Zamorian. She's clearly invested in the outcome and eager to prove paternity through a court-ordered test. Just watch what unfolds next.
Ms. Ellis, you claim you had a brief fling with the defendant 3 years ago. Soon after, you ended up pregnant, and now you prove that he fathered your 3-year-old son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Coger wittily claims it would be a scientific anomaly if he were the father, expressing strong doubt about Miss Ellis's allegations. The courtroom erupts with laughter, underlining the skepticism and disbelief surrounding his denial of any romantic involvement with Miss Ellis. You won't believe what unfolds next.
You argue it would have to be a medical miracle for you to be her child's father, and you're asking the court not to order a paternity test.
Yes, Your Honor.
What a bold denial. Mr. Coger defends his stance against the paternity test by simply stating, because we never slept together. His straightforward refusal sets the stage for a legal and personal showdown, igniting murmurs of disbelief among the spectators. The tension mounts in the following segment.
Court, why do you oppose the test?
Because we didn't have sex.
So he says.
Oh, we did. We would hang out. When we met, cool, we would talk on the phone, you know, laugh it up, stuff like that. So it came to the point where she wanted to come over and we would hang out. Over the next course of time, you know, we ended up being home alone.
How will he dodge this one? Mr. Coger recounts an evening where intimacy was hinted but ultimately avoided due to Miss Ellis's complaint of vaginal discomfort, preventing any sexual engagement. This part is crucial as it reveals the most intimate moment acknowledged by Mr. Coger, starkly contrasting his complete denial of any sexual encounter. Keep watching. The stakes are getting higher.
I knew what was going to happen. I was hoping that it would happen. So like I said, we got up, you know, took my clothes off, she took hers off. Then that's when she proceeded to tell me about some kind of vaginal discomfort or something like that, where she could not have intercourse at all.
It was painful at the time for me to have sex, yes, Your Honor.
This contradiction is staggering. As the judge sifts through text messages that refute the testimonies, we see Miss Ellis and Mr. Coger discussing the failed attempt at intercourse, which Mr. Coger persistently denies. This twist creates a puzzling narrative about their relationship. The next twist is jaw-dropping.
We never messed around at all.
And then you say, Miss Ellis, but I can take it now.
We never intercourse at any time.
I mean, the testimony that you're giving right now is the truth, because she's saying if you say so, because she thinks you did have sex.
Why did you inbox me and ask me, am I certain that my son is not yours?
This will throw you for a loop. Miss Ellis reveals how she came to realize her pregnancy, adding complexity to the story by introducing another potential father figure, further entangling the timeline and relationships involved. Her account emphasizes her initial obliviousness to her pregnancy and the subsequent astonishment. The unfolding events are utterly unexpected.
And I had to be rushed to the hospital. I woke up, I'm in the hospital room, I'm not knowing, you know what. So a nurse came in the room and she was like, okay, you had passed out, we feel like you had a heat, so we're gonna give you some fluids and everything, draw some blood to see what happened. So she came to me and she was like, do you know that you're pregnant? No, I'm not. Can you do another test? Is your name Ms. Ellis? I was like, yeah. She was like, oh, okay, well, you're pregnant. Out of all people, I'm pregnant, really?
You won't see this twist coming. Mr. Coger discovers the pregnancy via a Facebook post, pointing to a serious gap in communication from Miss Ellis. His queries about the child's paternity, despite his denials of intercourse, underline his confusion and the tangled web of their relationship. The surprises keep coming.
Found out via Facebook. I was scrolling, we was friends on Facebook. I scrolled through her pictures, found out she was pregnant. I saw her stomach, you know, she was all pregnant, you know, stuff like that. So, what's your thoughts on it? You know, do you somehow think that it might be mine?
Say, do I somehow think it might be yours? You say, is it mine?
I said, do you think the baby is mine? And what did you say?
This revelation adds a whole new dimension. Miss Ellis confesses to having been intimate with another person shortly before her supposed encounter with Mr. Coger, casting doubt on the paternity and complicating the case with the possibility of multiple partners being involved. Gear up for the next bombshell.
You were intimate with someone else?
Yes.
Without protection. Point blank ask, how's the baby? Do you think it's mine? The baby's doing okay, and no, I don't think it's yours. Was that the truth, or were you just saying?
I just didn't want him involved. Because I was with somebody else, and they said that it was going to be there, so what's the point?
This decision is crucial. Judge Lake opts to order a paternity test based on the testimonies and evidence laid out, aiming to clarify the muddled stories and ascertain the truth for the sake of the child. The outcome is going to be jaw-dropping.
Mr. Coger, you came into this courtroom today asking the court not to administer paternity tests. Your petition, Ms. Ellis, is that I believe there is sufficient evidence. I am ordering that you all leave this courtroom immediately, have the test administered.
This result is a major twist.
Pertaining to 3-year-old Zamarian Johnson. Mr. Coger, you are Zamarian's father.
And the tension in the courtroom is thick enough to cut with a knife. The episode kicks off with Judge Lake greeting everyone warmly and introducing the drama-packed case of Pace versus Fobbs and Randolph. Mr. Pace, visibly anxious, shares his fear about potentially not being the biological father of his son, Prince, setting a somber tone for what's to unfold. Just wait until you hear what comes next. It's a doozy.
You may be seated.
It's a case of Pace versus Fobbs and Randolph.
You say you will be crushed today if DNA results reveal you are not biological father of your son, Prince.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your seats, because this confession is a whirlwind of emotions. Miss Fobbs admits to making a horrible mistake by being intimate with both Mr. Pace and his best friend, Mr. Randolph. She clings to the hope that Mr. Pace is the biological father of her son, revealing the complicated personal dynamics at play. You'll be glued to your screen for what's up next. Things are about to get even juicier.
You say you were caught between the man you're in love with and his best friend. You admit you made a horrible mistake when you slept with both men, but you say you're still with all your heart that Mr. Pace is your son's biological father.
This revelation is a bombshell that drops heavy on everyone's hearts. Mr. Pace unfolds the story of how he discovered the betrayal during a heated argument when Miss Fobbs blurted out that Mr. Randolph could be Prince's father. The intensity of this revelation sends shockwaves through the courtroom. Buckle up, because the revelations are just getting started.
Well, that's interesting. We were actually in a heated argument at the time that it occurred. Kind of just got blurted out to me that Mr. Randolph could be a potential father for Prince.
So you're in a heated argument as a couple, and just out of the blue she yells, and by the way, your friend could be Prince's father?
Truth comes out in the open, and it's as bitter as expected. Directly confronted by Mr. Pace, Mr. Randolph admits to his indiscretion with Miss Fobbs, confirming the betrayal and amplifying the drama unfolding before our eyes. What's next is absolutely staggering. You won't want to miss it.
So when you met with Mr. Randolph, have you slept with Miss Fobbs?
Strangely enough, he did say it.
How could you sleep with your best friend's girl?
To answer that, Your Honor, I wasn't in the right state of mind. We both was intoxicated.
As the stakes rise, so do the emotions. Mr. Pace talks about the emotional weight and potential repercussions of the paternity results. He details his deep bond with Prince and his apprehensions about how the results might reshape his life and relationships. The anticipation builds. Get ready for the results that could change everything.
I'm very confused at this point. It's really hard for me to be standing here in front of you, and I'm kind of nervous as far as what I'm about to hear. I don't know, really want to move forward.
Mr. Randolph, you submitted to the court a childhood photo of yourself and Prince.
Yes, Your Honor.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats for this pivotal moment. In the climax of the episode, the paternity results are finally disclosed.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Pace, you are not his father.